Hey, rope droppers, this is Doug. I just got back from the Walt Disney Family Museum in San Francisco, California, and it was pretty cool. I went there with my wife Michelle and my son Alden. We were out in California for something else, so we thought we'd stop by and check it out. So, just gonna give you the lowdown, the skinny, the gist of it, and it's pretty cool. So, it's $25 for adults, so it's not cheap, it's not free, but it is definitely a perspective into the history of Walt the man and how he led the company, his creations, and then you get the sad reminder of how he died at the end. And there's a lot of pictures, a lot of family lineage in the first room, a lot of reading if you want to do it. And then it builds through to, like, his hometown of Marceline, Chicago, where he was born, how they eventually moved into Kansas City. And then it jumps into when he did his little military stint driving ambulances in the war and that sort of stuff. All kind of right off the top. And it's very interesting. If you don't know all that history, you can definitely get it all there. Now, we have visited his hometown museum in Marceline, Missouri, and that's a lot of family-oriented stuff, a lot of that section of his life, and then a little bit of afterwards. But they definitely focus on when he was in Marceline and that sort of stuff in Marceline, Missouri, his hometown. But here, it's the whole lifespan and a lot more in detail, which was pretty cool. A lot of good pictures, a lot of good artifacts. Then you get into, he moves out to California. And that was where it got a little bit more interesting. I'm going to be honest, Alden was pretty bored in the first couple rooms of the museum, but he is an 11-year-old boy who, attention span is questionable at times. I mean, it was a lot of reading if you really want all the in-depth. And, they talk about, it goes out to California, gives the whole timeline of the different studios he owned and operated, like even in Kansas City, how he had Laugh-O-Grams and then went out to California and how the studio moved around when he had Oswald, that whole thing. Then it moves into the Alice comedies and explains all that. The multi-plane cameras there for you to see. You get through all of that animation stuff. They talk about the live action stuff. Lots of great information. And then it's 2 floors. You work your way around. And again, the elevator from the first floor to the second floor is built to look like the cabin on a train on the Santa Fe to go from Kansas City out to Hollywood. So that was pretty cool because we went in and there's like this curtain and fake windows and stuff and figured out that's why. And then you get into kind of the parks and how Disneyland came to be, and a lot about trains. He had the train in his backyard. They have that there. That's one of the artifacts. They also have a map of Disneyland, and I showed that with a video on YouTube. It's pretty cool just to see the different areas. And then it gets into the development of audio animatronics, and you can control a bird with an animatronic handle. And so Alden did that for a while. He said that was easily the highlight of the entire museum. I gonna beg to differ. There was lots of other neat things, little tidbits, learned a lot. Also, one hallway when you're walking through it, amazing view of the Golden Gate Bridge. So that's one pretty cool thing is you're in this museum and then all of a sudden you look out this window and boom, there's the Golden Gate Bridge reminding you of where you're at. But the animatronic thing was cool, like little models of Carousel of Progress, things like that. And it just works its way through his whole life and kind of always has this family connection. It was kind of put together by one of his daughters in San Francisco. And, it tells the story more of Walt. And if you really take the time to go through it and read everything. And then it also talks about conversations that his daughter had with his wife when he was getting sick and they found the tumor, and it definitely reminds you not to smoke. Lots of things like that at the end, and how quickly he went from vibrant leading the company to not there anymore. And, they had pictures of all the Time magazines with Mickey crying, that sort of stuff. But It was a neat experience if you're a big Walt fan, not just a theme park fan, but a Walt fan to where you care about the movies, live action, how they were developed, the studios. You're interested in like Hyperion and like when they moved to Burbank and that sort of stuff you find intriguing. This is the place for you. 11-year-old boys, maybe not. He was not the most thrilled, but it was pretty cool overall. Definitely glad we did it. We've studied Walt. Our kids have all done reports on him. We've read the Who Was Walt Disney book, different things like that. And this is right up that avenue, but with things you can touch, see, read, visual aids, a lot of things you could watch through it about animation and the different processes in animation. And of course, it ends at a gift shop. So I did snag a Walt Disney Family Museum pin for you, our rope droppers. So if you're listening to this, watch for a Facebook post to like and share, and you can be entered to win a Walt Disney Family Museum pin. So we'll be doing that on Facebook. So if you don't follow us on Facebook already, go to Rope Drop Radio, facebook.com/Rope Drop Radio. That's where you can find us. We post all our shows. We have some fun with some other things. But hopefully a little insight into it. Lots of neat details. If you really like to read about history, if you're into that, this is the museum for you, because you really can get a lot of the Walt history. I mean, that's what it is. It's all of the Walt history. And it's located in an amazing spot, not too far from the Golden Gate Bridge. There was a farmer's market type food truck thing going on outside. So after we were done, we went out and we got an artisan pizza. We felt very San Francisco-y. And of course, Alden and I, both at separate times, like, first the Hawaiians and now you. Thank you, San Francisco. You've ruined pizza. Even though this pizza was good. It was not broccoli pizza, unlike the movie says. So, all right, rope droppers. Hopefully you enjoyed that little snippet of the Walt Disney Family Museum. It was interesting. Definitely worth checking it out if you're in the Bay Area and you're a huge Walt fan.